I made these tools a few years ago and they're for making a tapered mortise and tenon. This here is the reamer and that's for making the mortise, and this is the tenon cutter. I could have done a better job and that's why I'm going to remake them in this video. The main thing I did wrong on this reamer is it's too short and stubby. The taper should have been longer. So I'm going to redo that, and also I only use one blade in this design here, which I don't think was very good. I'm going to use a blade on the other side as well. I don't want the video to drag on too much, so I'm going to make the reamer in this video and then I'll make a separate video for the tenon cutter. I've got a piece of this old saw blade. I've made a couple of cabinet scrapers out of it in the past, but I'm going to use the rest of it here to make a blade for the reamer. And I've got my miter saw set up here, and I'm not going to cut this on the miter saw, so don't worry, but I'm just using it to mark a 6-degree angle. So I've set my miter saw at 6 degrees, I've got my square up against the fence, and if I hold that there, then I can use the miter saw as a gauge. I'll make a mark so far in maybe about 8mm, and I will use the insert here as a guide. So I'll put a mark along that line there, and then I'll follow it along this end and make another mark. And as long as we're around about 6 degrees, it should work. We need to put an angle on the flat edge of the blade, and that needs to be around about 45 degrees, but it's not that critical. I've got it supported between two pieces of wood, and now I'm going to clean that edge up with a sharpening stone. And then with a burnisher, I'm going to put a burr on there. I'm just going to go across once, nice and firmly. I can feel that all the way along. I've got this piece of silky oak ready to put in the lathe for the reamer, but before I do that, I'm going to drill a hole through, and that's for the handle. Now I need to make a saw cut straight away down the middle of the taper, and that's so the blade can slot in there. I've got it set up that the hole for the handle, I haven't made that yet, is perpendicular to the saw cut of the blade. I'm just going to eyeball this, and I can see it's pretty level, that hole across there. Not that that has to be perfectly perpendicular to the blade, but it'll just look nicer if it is, I think. So I'm just going to make a mark in the center, and I'm just going to do this by eyesight, and I'm pretty confident I'm going to get the center, and the same this end. I'll just look straight down on it and have a good look at it, and yeah, I'm pretty confident that is in the right place. And then we'll make a mark and join those two, we'll make a line, sorry, and join those two marks up. I tried out a few different saws to match the thickness of the blade, and this one came the closest, but the only problem with this one, it has a back on it, so it won't be easy to finish the cut. But what I will do is I'll use the teeth on the blade itself to finish the cut. As you can probably see, that didn't turn out great. It was nice and straight while I used the saw, and then when I finished the last part of the cut with this blade, it's wandered off and it's actually done it even worse on the back. I'm pretty sure it would still work fine as it is, but I'm not happy with it, so I'm going to remove the blade, glue in a small thin piece of wood, and then remake that final cut. I'm going back to the saw I had before and I'm removing the back off it. That's a big improvement and I'm glad I took the time to do it. When we come to fit the blade, then we need the blade to stick out from the taper around about 2 mil. So I've got it about the height of the teeth there, and the same the other side. And if it's sticking out too far, then you can take your saw cut and go a bit deeper so the blade goes in a little bit more. And the opposite, if it's too buried in there, then you can bring the blade forward and just glue a little slither of wood in there to stop the blade going back. The side of the blade that the bevel is put on will determine which way the tool will be used. It doesn't actually matter, but I want it to turn clockwise, so I've put the bevel on the back here and the cutting face is on the front. The next thing I need to do now, and it's pretty much the last thing, is I need to carve a relief this side of the cutting edge so there's somewhere for the shavings to go and to fall out through the bottom. I think I have too much blade sticking out either side, so I'm going to cut a little piece off the back of the blade so it sits in a little bit further, and then the teeth and this edge will sit down a little bit more. After adjusting the blade, I tried it out off camera and it didn't go very well because I broke the reamer and also I sliced my hand open at the same time. And how I did that was, when this broke, as soon as it broke, instinctively I grabbed it to pull it out and I put my hand around it here like this, and as I pulled it, this came out and my hand ran along the blade because the blade stayed in there, and it cut through the webbing between my finger and my thumb and it made a bit of a mess. I was a bit concerned when I did it. I went to the hospital and had stitches, but I was very lucky because it missed the tendon and the artery. The nurse actually showed me in there and I could see the artery, and any deeper and it would have gone through those, and I would have been in trouble for a few months. But like I say, I was lucky, and this was only a few days ago and it's healing very well already, and they told me to keep using it so I can carry on working. I chose the Silky Oak because it's hardwood but it's not too hard and I'd be able to turn it easy enough, but as it happens it's not hard enough. I thought that it may be, but it isn't, so I'm going to have to remake it. I'm going to use this piece of spotted gum. It will be a lot more difficult to turn, but I'll manage and it'll work out better in the long run. That's the new one done. It went very well. It was actually quite easy to turn, much better than I thought it would be, and I'm very confident that this one won't break and this is going to do the job well. I just need to put some wax on it and then we'll give it a go. Where I went wrong with the Silky Oak one, apart from being the wrong material, was I had the blade out too far and it was too aggressive a cut. So if I show it from the back there, you can see it's probably sticking up around about 1 millimeter. And this will self-center when you start cutting the hole. So as long as it's in about the right place when you put it in, it'll self-center. So let's give it a go. You will need to keep clearing it, so every now and again you need to take it out, and even though we've got these reliefs in here, it won't get rid of the dust completely. It's just somewhere for the dust to go. Some of it will fall through, but some of it won't. If your blade is loose in the kerf, then you can grab your blade and just, this one's a bit tight so I can't do it, but you can just pull it out and push it back and it will clear it straight away. But with mine it's a bit tight, so I'm going to leave it like that for now, and then if I need to I'll get some sandpaper in that kerf there to make the blade a bit looser, and I'll be able to just clear it like that too. But at the moment it's working nice as it is, so I'll leave it as it is. When you drill the hole in the first place, then you'll drill that to the size that you want the smaller end of the taper to be. So in this case I'm actually done there now. I've got a full taper all the way through. I'm not sure if you can see in there, you may be able to see on these ones, the teeth actually do leave some score marks in there, but that's not an issue. If you make this, you don't have to use the teeth on the one edge, you can just make two edges the same as this and you'll get a smoother cut. But the teeth do cut into it very nicely and remove it quick, so I'm not sure which is the best way, but I'm happy with it this way anyway. You could keep going and make it as big as you want. These ones here, you can see how far. I started off with the same size hole on these and they were my test ones. Normally when you make a tapered mortise it will be on an angle. I haven't done that here, but this was just a demo and I'll cover that in another video. That was a big improvement over the old one. Hopefully the video was helpful to somebody. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one. And that one will be a remake of this tenon cutter here.